Hello, guys, and welcome back to The Sober Connection with me, your host, Abi King. Today, I'm joined by someone who is stuck between wanting to quit and wanting to continue drinking. They've done long stints of abstinence. In fact, they are actually haven't had a drink since May, but they always seem to get drawn back into drinking. And I thought it would be an interesting conversation to have, as we've pretty much all been in that situation. Certainly, I was in that situation for a very long time, just of not knowing what to decide. So it might just resonate with someone who's feeling the same. So my guest today is Hepa Moana. Hey Heps, how you going?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Very, very well done on the last name. I know you're worried about it.
Well, I don't want to pronounce it wrong, but we'll just go with Heps from now on.
You know
Thank you so much for joining me. I know that it's a bit of a different conversation to have. Like all of my guests so far have been through the sober journey and out the other side, but I just thought it was quite an interesting conversation to have with somebody that's just still unsure which direction to go. So you just mentioned before that you haven't had a drink since May ish.
I can't remember if it was like early May or late May, but yeah, May.
Yeah, May sometime.
And
Yeah,
this
yeah.
wasn't like an intentional sort of I'm not going to drink. It just hasn't happened, which is
Yeah. Yeah, right. So you've been on quite the sort of fitness buzz as well this year. You did that boxing match and then a few 8-week challenges and things like that. So does that play a factor in your decision to quit the booze?
Yeah, for sure. I think a lot of the time when I do drink, it takes me out for a couple of days now. I'm closing in on 40, so I'll admit that the beers affect me more now than they used to. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So it takes away from all that, and then if you look at the calorie side of it too, just all the empty calories and using up the budget for something that's not very helpful. So
Yeah.
yeah, I guess that probably has played a big part of it without me even realizing now until this conversation. That's probably been a big reason why I've not really dabbled since May.
Yeah, right. Yeah, cool.
Mm.
So how did I normally start off when I talk to my guests, I normally get them to just explain the drinking career, how it started, what life was growing up as a kid, were you surrounded by it, family, all that kind of thing. Obviously it's slightly different for you because you're still kind of in the messy middle, as they say. But how has alcohol played a part in your life story so far?
Yeah, I mean, I think if we look at family stuff, which I've listened to a few of your episodes, and people often refer to kind of how it was approached in the house or in the home and seen from like a cultural perspective. Even I suppose it's pretty lucky. Like it never was one of those things when I was younger that everyone did and that you kind of had to do. Like yeah, dad played sports. Like dad was a big league man when we were kids, so we were quite often down at the league club or just surrounded by it. It was quite the norm. But then on the flip side, I think I was like I want to say 14, perhaps even younger, when my mum gave it up.
Hmm.
So, yeah, there's kind of been both sides. Like, dad, well, in my own view, everyone's got their own views of kind of what constitutes, it's a bit of a scale, I guess, of what's like a problem and what's not. It's a bit of a sliding scale. So I would never say that my dad's had a drinking problem, but he enjoyed a beer. And mum was, for as long as I can remember, she just didn't really dabble at all. So I had both sides in my life. And so I guess from a young age, because of that, I suppose that made me ask a lot of questions then when I was a teen,
Right.
like, oh, how come she does and he doesn't? And kind of play those thoughts out. And then for myself, I started DJing when I was about 16.
Yeah.
So, man, I don't know if I should say, I might get some people in trouble, but I was actually DJing in nightclubs before I was legally meant to be in there.
Yeah.
I was one of those kids, that was 16 but looked 21. So kind of got away with sneaking into places, as I'm sure a lot of people listening and watching would have done in their time too. So I was always surrounded by it, but because I was working, a lot of the times obviously had to have my wits about me and kind of know what I was up to. And so
Mhm.
there were times when I would be drinking on the job, and then there were times where I wouldn't be. But those times that I wasn't, you'd obviously see a lot of things happen, and then kind of people the next morning be sheepish and blaming the alcohol and stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's funny. I only realize this stuff now chatting with you as you asked the question, that I guess it's always been something that I've been aware of, the human behavior and the difference between people that do and people that don't. And as I said, I've listened to a few of your episodes, and a lot of people talk about owning their shit. And that's something that's always stood out to me with it, as well as you definitely you notice the difference in people that own up to the things that they've done while they've been under their influence, and then those that kind of pretend like nothing's ever happened.
Nothing
I've
happened.
seen both sides again from,
Yeah.
I guess, from a DJing perspective. Yeah, I'm not too sure if that answers your question, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was going to talk to you about that with the whole DJing. Obviously, you DJ in pubs and clubs and birthdays, and so you see this sort of the very, very social side of alcohol. Has that kind of ever put you off? Has that ever been like a reason why you've gone like, I might take a bit of a break because you've seen sort of the not so good side of the social aspect of drinking?
Yeah, definitely, 100%. And that's not like a judgment thing. Like I don't watch these people and go, "Oh man, I don't want to be like that." To be honest, I probably see a lot of it and think, "I know I've done that. I
Hmm.
know, like I see, the sloppy people. I see guys that are probably a bit too forward. I see girls that are probably a bit too forward. I see people going home together that probably shouldn't be going home together. I see all these sorts of things play out. You see it all from the DJ booth, man. Like
Yeah.
I'm probably, I'm probably breaking a bit of a rule here that you're not supposed to talk about some of these things that we do see, but you see it all from the DJ booth, and yeah, that definitely, I suppose, has an influence, especially starting so young. Like I said, I've been playing since I was 16. I've just gone. I'm about to turn 38 this year, so it's a long time in the game, and it's a long time to see all these things happen. I think I was quite lucky as well to find out pretty early on in my DJing career that I play way shitter when I drink.
Yeah.
Um, a lot of DJs they kind of need it to play, but I know that I'm just far worse. So I still sometimes will have a beer when I play, but more often than not I don't because I just know it affects my performance and I like to think I'm pretty professional in those spaces. Some
Yeah.
will laugh here and there, but yeah, so I try and stay away from it. So yeah, definitely, yeah, those observations and things you see for sure. Like I definitely wake up some mornings and I'm like, man, I wonder if this person's going to own their shit and message that person that they were a bit of a dick to last night, or if they're just going to sweep it under the rug like nothing happened. I have to admit, I probably wonder about those situations more than I should.
Yeah, right. um, I know that you've obviously we're going through a period of non-drinking at the moment. What's it like for you when you're not drinking compared to when you are? So if you are having like a you sort of, it's not like you're sort of planning to get when you're drinking, it's not all the time, but it's sort of like happens kind of sporadically. But do you notice a difference in like your energy levels and even personality and things like that, your patience and things like that? What's the difference that you sort of pick up on between when you're drinking versus when you're not?
Yes, I mean, I was speaking to you a little bit off here before we started. Like, I've noticed I don't, I'm not really one to plan for the weekend anymore. Or, you know what I mean? Like, I don't go, man, I can't wait to have a beer Friday, or I can't wait to get past this Saturday. When I drink, it's more like it's Friday. We've gone out for dinner. I've had a couple beers, and then we end up having a night out or something. It's not. It's
Yeah,
never really planned ahead. It kind of just happens spontaneously on the spot. That's sort of
those are the
been
best
me.
times, right?
Yeah, and that's kind of how I've been, I guess, for a little while now. But I definitely, I've had my moments and times in my life where I've been like, man, I can't wait to get hammered this weekend. Like I'm just sick of work or whatever, and I just, want to send it. I can't wait. I'm texting people Wednesday, Thursday, like, what are we doing this weekend? Like
Yeah.
I've definitely been there before. But yeah, back to your question around like how does it affect when I do drink? Oh, I'm like and that's a big reason why I kind of do these stints as well of not touching it. Like sometimes I'll go 9 months without drinking, but then some will roll around, and then
Yeah, yeah,
and I'll slip into old habits. But in terms of energy levels and stuff like that, like it's amazing. I'm probably the most productive I can be, and so
yeah,
that's like a big thing for me. Like I'm part of the Whoop cult, so I'm always checking my stats and analyzing my sleep and all that sort of thing. So I know that when I drink, my sleep is absolutely terrible. We've trained together and stuff before, so like I know that I'm never the fittest, I'm never the fastest, I'm never the strongest, but I reckon I can outsleep most people. Like sleep is like my thing. I love to have a good sleep, and I love to help others, work on their sleep. So if I was to pick a perfect job, it'd be a tie between being a sports psychologist, helping athletes G themselves up and get over those mental hurdles, or being a sleep coach. Like those are my two big things in life that I'd absolutely love to do. So yeah, that's another deterrent, I guess. When I drink, I do notice that it really, really affects my sleep.
Yeah.
So that's like another thing that kind of detracts me from it and makes me zone in a bit more. But yeah, productivity is out the door for a
Yeah.
couple of days. I've been drinking. Like if I know I'm going to drink, let's say I'm going to a wedding or something, and I plan on drinking there, like I'll know because I'm self-employed. I'll know like you're going to get no work done, bro, probably until Wednesday. So let's plan things now. We'll make sure we get ahead on some of those tasks and those projects now, so that come that week, we know
Yeah.
we're going to be a bit of a
And
write-off
take
and
it a
less
bit easier.
productive. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. Um, can you describe what it's like to be caught between wanting to quit and wanting to continue? So how does that feel for you, that kind of indecision?
That's such a great question. Yeah, it's so it's like indecisive, or like there. I suppose it's like a tug of war. Like it really is like a tug of war, and I kind of feel like it's almost like one side of the rope is attached to this side of my head, and then the other side of the rope is attached to this part of my heart, and I'm like, it just pulls both ways, like all the time, at twos and fros. I'm quite. I think there are a few things that work in my favor though. Like I feel really fortunate to have a core group of friends. There's probably half a dozen of us. This is a conversation we have often within our group chat. We're all kind of coming up 40, and we're all trying to work on our health and things at the moment, and we've got all these different goals and things laid out. And we just know how much of it pulls a handbrake up on our productivity and the goals that we've got at hand. So it's really good. I'm really lucky. We all hold each other accountable to like
Mhm.
not go too far off the other end, but also kind of be a bit kind to each other when we do
Yeah,
indulge.
right.
I guess
Yeah.
like it's a good ratio of kick and cuddle. I like to say, they'll boot my ass if I break any promises to them or to myself, but at the same time they'll cuddle me if it's not as bad as I'm making it out to be in my own head. But it's probably the best analogy I can think of to answer your question of what it's like describing that feeling of toing and froing with it. And it really is like, yeah, one rope's attached to my head, pulling on my head this way, and the other one's attached to my heart, pulling on my chest the other way. And I feel myself separating and coming back together. It's weird because I don't find it like when I think of a battle, it is a battle, but it's not like something I super struggle with.
Hmm.
I think, like it's when I drink, it's not something that I super regret and I go down a rabbit hole with. I'm kind of like, oh, that's just, I guess, what happens at the time. But I know, I just know that my life is a lot more productive and a lot better without it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I suppose a long time, especially being a DJ, like I know one of the big, like I actually stepped away from DJing for about 5 years, and a lot of that was because of not only drinking but also other drugs too. Because I'd given all that stuff up, but I was kind of outcast because of it.
Yeah.
Like other DJs were kind of like, oh, he's that kind of straight edge guy,
The
and
sober DJ.
yeah, it was real strange. And at the time, I was only, I think I was like 23, 24 when this happened, when I stepped away. And that was probably more just my own, like, I kind of bought into like the whole unworthiness they were trying to make me feel. And even though it was them projecting their own shit, right? Which I know that now as a 37-year-old, but as a
Yeah. Yeah.
25-year-old, I didn't get that. I was like, I bought into their narrative that I was the problem and I'm the weirdo,
Yeah.
because I didn't know any better. But now that I'm older, and that's why I'm playing again, because I'm like, well, I know that I'm not the issue.
Yeah.
My lack
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
thinking, the issue was the fact I was making them feel a bit uncomfortable with how they were approaching
How
life.
they had their own thing. Yeah, right. Yeah. And that's what happens. I mean, that happens with when you quit booze. I mean, yeah, obviously when I was up in Tikwiti, I was surrounded by people that just drank, and you are the outcast when you just make and invitations dry up, and all of a sudden you're not getting invited to Friday night drinks because nobody wants the sober person hanging around, so it's and then that's why I went back to drinking so many times, because I just got FOMO. So I mean, is that a thing for you? Do you reckon it's a bit of FOMO?
I think at the moment I'm all good. Like even on Saturday night, I went to a gig to support a friend on Saturday night. Like I had nothing to do with the gig. I wasn't playing. I wasn't, involved really whatsoever. He just asked me to come down and show some love, and I try to do that to as many gigs as possible, especially here in New Plymouth, when people here whinge so much about wanting national acts or international acts to come here. Yet when they do, they don't go out to it. They don't
Yeah,
support it.
yeah,
So I went along and just threw up a couple of things on social media just to be like, hey, come on down, this is happening tonight, blah blah blah. And even there were people like, oh, have a drink with us or have a shot. And I was like, no, I'm cool. Like I'm driving or I'm doing just making up stuff like that. Pretty much anything, but I don't want to drink right now. It's
yeah,
just like I'm driving, I'm doing this or whatever, and you could tell them like it was pretty funny. Like they're like, come on, are you sure? Like they're really trying to twist the arm. And I suppose I'm lucky these days to not really feel too much peer pressure. So I don't know if I'm trying to think when those moments when I do like end up drinking. I don't know if it's fun, but like I said, it's just one of those things that happens. Like I feel the vibe's good.
yeah,
Like if the weather's sunny and some friends around and we're having dinner, and I might be like, I'll have a beer. Actually, I can think of one thing that does actually make me, I suppose, let's call it a trigger for lack of a better term, and that's like doing something hard physically. Like the first thing that comes to mind is high rocks. Like
yeah,
so that was the last time I can remember being like, I want a drink. Like that
right,
was after that. And for those that don't know, because there might be some people listening that don't, so High Rocks is like a fitness event where there's 8 stations, you run a K, and then you do, say, like a 200-meter row, you run a K, and there's different ones. And so at the time, I remember like getting to the end of that, and I was just, well, getting partway through it, I ended up tearing a hammy, I didn't finish. But getting partway through that and being like, man, I just want a beer. I just want that taste of beer. So what I do now in those moments when that sort of things happen, because that's something I noticed, and so so this happens at fitness events, right? Because I dabble in different things now. I do these stupid fitness events, and I'll do stuff, and afterwards I'm like, man, I just really want a beer. So I quite happily will just have zeros now because it's just
yeah,
the taste, which is
yeah,
ironic because I've been a teenager and absolutely hating the taste of beer. And it was like you had to force yourself to drink it because you wanted to be cool and drink beer like everyone else.
yeah, yeah,
So that I'm like, man, I actually want the taste of beer.
yeah.
As I said, that FOMO thing. I think I've been real lucky enough to circumnavigate a lot of that because of that kind of core six of us that are hanging in together. And we
Yeah,
still drink. Like one of the boys drunk in the weekend, and it's not like we all get on his ass like, "Oh, you loser!" Like you're supposed to say sober. Like we all said we'd do it. It's like, okay, well, what are you doing about it now? Because we know, like
yeah,
on Monday, you're going to be depressed and complaining about your job. You
oh,
know,
for
it's not
sure.
actually the
Yeah,
job, right? It's you had to
yeah.
drink. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think like when you did that, when you did High Rocks, because that was when you did it. It was a year ago, like in Brisbane. But you
Actually,
finished.
yeah, last week, I think.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You and because you and Adam had done sort of 75 hard, and that was your last
Yeah.
day, wasn't it? Yeah. So your very last 75th day was High Rocks.
Yeah,
So you were kind of entitled to a beer, weren't you? Or
I was actually the day before High Rocks, but he was the day of. Yeah.
yeah,
So yeah, we worked it out that way. Well, I kind of worked it out in my head to make sure that it happened that way. But
yeah,
yeah, I guess they could have looked at it like that, like you were entitled. But I know that 75 harder aside, I don't think that mattered too much. But it was just like when I'm feeling exhausted and really push myself physically, that's when I get in my head that I've deserved the beer. I've noticed that
yeah,
about myself. That's when I say to myself, bro, we can have a drink tonight, or we can party tonight, or we can,
yeah,
send it, blow the roof off, whatever you want to call it. Like you've earned that. And that's something that I've started to like reflect a little bit on and kind of be like, why does that happen?
yeah, yeah, yeah. What do you think the moments are when you feel most strongly that you want to quit for good?
Oh gosh. Probably when I am in that DJ booth and I see people acting up.
Yeah,
Believe it or not, it's not actually when I'm hungover. It's like I suppose I would assume that would probably be a lot of people's answer, is when they want to give up when they've, maybe sent that regrettable text or try to pash that person who actually wasn't interested. I don't know. I can imagine that's what a lot of people's moment would be when they're like, man, I need to seriously consider my relationship with alcohol. But mine is watching what happens.
Yeah.
or like because I see it all the time with my work,
Yeah.
and I kind of be like, man, do I do that shit? And I'm like, man, I may not do it now, but I know I definitely probably did it once upon a time. And then I'm thinking, and just like when I look at, once again, when I come back to sleeping, training, and the mission that and even like weight loss, because that's a big focus for me. Like a big focus for me at the moment is body fat percentage. When I look at all that stuff, like there's no ups to it. Like logically, it's just dumb. Like, and even I know that as a drinker, I know that's like, like I think every other podcast I listen to, like I'm one of those gym bros that listens to Huberman and Modern Wisdom. Like I listen to that stuff. I probably should be embarrassed about it, but I'm not. I listen to that stuff.
No, it's great. You should listen to that stuff.
And all of them talk about it. Like
Yeah.
all of them talk about it, about how it's not helpful in any sort of way. So yeah, I suppose those moments when I'm in the booth, but just like logically, it makes no sense.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So what's holding you back from quitting?
Honestly, I mean, I want to think about this because I don't want to cop out and say I actually don't know the answer to that question, even though it is kind of my initial reaction. Um, because as I say, it's not like it is just those moments where we are out for dinner or whatever, and I'm like, I feel like a beer, so I will have one.
Yeah.
And I suppose, yeah, I think because like in me as a person, and I hope someone out there hears this and tells me this is just an excuse and then can break it down for me because that's what I'm here for. Like one of the big things that excited me about having this conversation with you is that I knew that I'd get confronted with maybe stories that I tell myself all the time. And I was hoping someone might hear these and help me undo that and make me see that I'm being an idiot with some of these things. Um, I think oh man, what gets in my way? I've just never been the type of person to kind of like think in extremes. Like I'm a big believer in scale. Like I'm not like you're drinking or you're not. It's like I
Yeah.
can have some sometimes, or like I'm a big 80-20 rule person. Like
Yeah.
80% of the time I'm not drinking, but that 20% of the time I will. And that's kind of just, I guess that's probably my biggest barrier is that I don't see an absolute need to turn it off,
Yeah.
despite everything I just said about it being like non-productive and not being a help. I'd like to think I don't get FOMO, but maybe I do more than I'd like to admit. But reflecting and thinking about it, it doesn't make me nervous. I definitely get annoyed when I'm this because I'm like the sober guy a lot. Like because I quite often will go clubbing sober, and I know people think that's weird, but I quite often will go out, and especially if I'm DJing. Like if I'm not DJing till later, if I'm doing the later set, I'll hang around in the club and get the vibe and see who's around, so I know kind of what to play for and who to cater for
Yeah,
later
right.
on. I'm going to be playing, so more often than not. And I'm at the age now where my nieces and nephews and stuff are turning 21, so I'm at their 21st and I'm sober. Like I'm like that, and I definitely used to, like most people, I'd say, I definitely used to be like, man, I need to like be drinking to be social. Like I struggle to connect when I'm sober, but I'm not like that anymore. But I still get pissed off with drunk people. Like drunk people are so annoying, man. I tell you the same story like 20 times, and
Yeah.
they'll, I don't know, they tell you that you're boring or that you're being slow. It's like, no, you're actually just being really irritating.
Yeah.
Um,
Or
and then
choosing, I would have been the worst back in the day. I was always going up to whenever I did go out, I'd be up at that DJ booth shouting out demands. I'd be that girl. You'd
like,
be like, go away.
if there's any young like up and coming guys DJing girls, if you're playing, like best thing you can say to drunk people when they come up to you like you're playing my song, you just say they've already played it. They're not gonna. They don't know. They don't know. They might say, "Oh, really? I didn't hear it." You're like, "Oh, I'll play you something else," and then you just tell them what you're going to play, and you're going to play that anyway.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
but I know, like, and exactly, like you're right. Like I know that I have been that person before as well. So it's definitely not like a judgment thing at all. We've all been that person.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I would have been that person like more recently than what I think I have. And I should know better as a DJ. I should know better to not be the dude that's like shoving my phone in the DJ space, like play the song, like everyone will dance to it and all that cliche stuff. They'll love
Yeah.
it, all that
Yeah,
stuff. But I
I
probably,
remember being at I remember being at a, oh God, I think it was like a 30th birthday. And I was really, really drunk, and all the family were there, like the girl's family was there, and Nana and aunties, and they're all sitting around, and I got the DJ to play this like absolute banger that I used to like go raving to, and the whole dance floor just cleared out. He'd just been playing Dancing Queen by ABBA, and then I managed to persuade him to put this tune on, and everybody just buggered off, and then I got kicked out of the party. So that was the end of that. But yeah, absolute music Nazi back in the
I
day.
don't
But
really do it. I definitely don't do it at nightclubs, and maybe I should bring it in. But like at private functions and stuff, what I do is I set up a microphone, and if you want to make a request, you have to make it on that microphone so that everyone hears.
so okay, yeah, yeah,
Because they'll boo, they'll yay or nay, right? Like the crowd
yeah,
there will be like, yeah, cool, or they'll be like, ooh, no, like what are you doing? So then I can see that know whether I should play that song or not. But
yeah,
then also
right,
but also like 90% of the time, people like it's real weird. Like they just want to be the person that requests the song, if you know what I mean. Like they don't. It's really strange. Like, because some people will stand there and they'll ask you for like 20 songs in a row. I'm like, whoa, chill out. Like just ask for one. Yeah, that's a whole nother podcast, Abby. That's a whole nother
yeah,
podcast.
yeah, yeah. What scares you about a life without alcohol?
Mm. Probably like I said before, I think I'm pretty comfortable in my own skin with a lot of things. But if I was to pick on something, because the constant conversation that I've had with everyone who does live a sober life, we're lucky to have a few people in our circle and in our gym community and stuff who don't drink.
Yeah,
So I'm having conversation with these people all the time because obviously we've talked about I to and fro and get pulled in every which way all the time. So I've had conversation with these people a lot, and the thing that always stands out to me is they all talk about how they stopped getting invited to stuff. So if I was to probably pick on something, that would probably be it.
yeah,
But yeah, like I said, I've got my like core group of mates who we're all kind of going through this journey together. We're not too cool to have a board game night, or quite often out of that kind of core six of us, maybe one or two will have beers and the other four of us are sober. So
yeah,
we've got too many drivers now. We used to have not
yeah,
enough. Too many. But probably, yeah, if I was to pick on something, if I'm being honest, that's probably one thing that comes to mind is just, yeah, no longer getting invited to stuff. But I also know, like, I'm pretty, once again, I use the word lucky. I don't know if it's the right word, but I'm pretty fortunate to be considering this right now at this time. Like some of those people that I alluded to before, who we have in our circle, who we know from the gym and stuff, like they've been doing this for like 10, 12 years.
mm,
And to be doing that back then,
yeah,
that would have been crazy.
yeah,
Like it would have been the biggest outcast,
yeah,
and
absolutely.
between now and then there would have been so many connections they would have lost because probably those relationships were either built off, alcohol or partying together or whatever. Whereas I think now it's sort of like there's two things. Like it's real, like it's a genuine thing that people are starting to cotton on to all the things I've talked about today. Your productivity, your sleeping. People are starting to prioritize that stuff, and so not only is alcohol becoming less popular because people are seeing that, but it's sort of like a trend too. So there's both sides to it.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
I know like if I was to give it up tomorrow, today, whatever, I could probably find another community quite easily because there's so
Yeah.
many people. Whereas that 10, 12 years ago when those others gave it up, I doubt they would have had that. So
No, like even when I was trying to quit, I mean, I'm coming up 3.5 years next week actually. But yeah, 4 years of trying before that, and then even a year or two of thinking about my just even considering it. So that's been, a 9 year journey really. And yeah, there wasn't the communities online. I mean, yeah, being in small town New Zealand, surrounded by everybody else that drinks, I had to find an online community to support me, and I didn't have that for the first few years at all. So yeah, it was pretty hard. But now, I mean, there's thousands of sober Instagram pages, and there's so much support, and everything on your news feed is just filtering through. So it's it's way more supportive now. So it's
I remember you mentioned at the top of the podcast these events and stuff that I've done, like my boxing and things. I remember I did my first fight. Man, I was 25, so what, 12 years ago, 13 years ago. I did my first fight back then, and that was so the longest that I've gone without drinking is 11 months, and that fight was somewhere amongst that 11 months.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that started it, but I just know it was around the same time. And I remember in that 11 months, like I was getting so much like hate, I guess, for lack of a better term. Like it was weird.
Mm-hmm.
I remember because I suppose a big part of that why I felt it so much at the time was because I didn't really have a core reason to do it, or like a big why driving me. It wasn't like I had a massive night out and was super hungover and like, I'm never drinking again. Like we've all said that, right? And
We've all said that.
yeah. And that wasn't like a big driver. I honestly think it was just like I woke up one day and said, "Oh, let's try this and see what it goes." I'm one of those weirdos. I quite often
Yeah.
do that. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
And then the flip side of that is that I'm also one of those people, like if you tell them not to do something, they're just going to do it harder. So everyone was just like, "Why are you not drinking? Like you should have a drink." So because people tell me to have a drink, I probably didn't out of spite.
Yeah.
Which I was silly. Yeah, and it was strange. I remember vividly the things that people were saying to try and get me to have a drink, or just even like petty things, name calling, or even people talking to my brother. People were saying to my brother, "Oh, I hear your brother's gone sober now or something." And he was like, "Oh, I don't know if he's gone sober. He's just not drinking at the moment, you know." And that was only 11 years ago. And
Yeah.
whereas like now, I'll do a 75 hard and no one really bats an eye. All my friends in July hate it because, there's dry July. So all my friends that have birthdays and they want to party in July, more often than not, I'm not available in July. So they get off it when I do those things. But yeah, it's such an interesting thing. I can't imagine, let's call them the pioneers, those people that did it way back then and had people coming up to them where, yeah, I guess there's not so much FOMO fear for me now because I know it's a lot more common and there's more of a
More
community.
mainstream, a bit more accepted, definitely. I got asked if I was religious. That was one question that I had was, are you religious? Is that why you're not drinking? I was like, no, I'm just
Actually,
way better when I don't drink. I'm just a way better person.
you saying that reminded me, actually. I remember partway through that 11-month stint, people asking me that, everyone wants to know why. Like the why can never be that you just don't want to.
Yeah.
There's got to be an abstract reason. I actually remember making up, like, because I just got so sick of it. I just started telling people that I was real sick. Which I know is terrible. But I was just so sick of it, and people don't argue with it.
Yeah.
Like, I was saying to people, "Oh no, like I can't talk about it in depth because it's really bad, but I'm quite ill, so I can't drink." And that just made the room like dead. And even at this time as well, like I had actually stopped eating meat. So I was getting both. I was getting both. You're a weirdo for not drinking, and you're a weirdo because you don't eat meat.
Yeah.
I don't know who was worse actually. Which community was worse? I was copying it from both ends, and same thing. I'm really sick. I can't tell you what it is. It's a bit personal, so I'm not eating meat and I'm not drinking. Those are like my two things. And I was just like, man, I hope I'm not inviting some bad juju and to actually make myself.
Some bad karma coming your way.
It hasn't.
So obviously there's a few, as you mentioned before, there are a few of us in our kind of group circle that don't drink.
Mhm.
What's your biggest takeaway from, obviously you said before that the negative side of it is that we just don't get invited to things that much anymore. But what are the positive things that you've seen, you've witnessed, and that you've taken away from people like myself and Shawnee and Tish and the guys at the gym?
Probably two things that come to mind. I've said it like a million times during this podcast, but productivity. Like
Yeah.
everyone who I know who doesn't drink, and even outside of you guys, like people that I've met overseas that are friends, or people when I was living in Canada and things like that, that I've met that don't drink, they're just like the most productive people. And the question always then is, well, yeah, but are they happy though? I was like, well, yeah, they actually are. Like, they're not, because that's the thing too. Like, oh, like if you're giving out something, then you must be like, I don't know, must be depressed because you're not having any fun. It's like, no, just because they give up that one thing doesn't mean they're having like absolutely everything. It's weird. People always think in extremes, right? Like they never say like, oh, I'm hot. Oh, you must be cold. So
Yeah.
no, there's like a scale of stuff. But people always think, oh, like you said, oh, you're not drinking. Oh, you must be a religious person.
Yeah.
Like, but it's
What's wrong
funny
with you?
to extremes. So yeah, productivity is definitely one of the positive things that I've taken from it. Is that everyone I know who doesn't drink, they're more productive as a person. Um, Presence is probably another. Like they're a lot more self-aware and
Mhm.
present with their immediate family or their community and stuff. Like especially, I notice it especially in my sober friends who are parents. Like they just, I mean, and this is probably going to land me in a lot of heat with people, but I just feel like they parent a lot better. I know
Oh,
that's going
it's
to be so unpopular, and I can hear
uh,
social media coming for me right now. I don't care. I just feel like, I don't have children myself. It's never been an aspiration of mine to have kids. I absolutely love being an uncle, and I love being an older mentor to those that need it. But as an outsider looking in and seeing like people with their kids, there seems to be a noticeable difference in terms of presence, and even when the parents that I take a break from drinking, and
Mhm.
they the family life seems to really kind of level up.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
productivity.
speaking from experience, that's 100% what happens. So I was obviously, my kids were, I had three under three. So, and we had a business and there was a lot going on and didn't have much of a support system and very lonely. And I just turned to booze just to get me through the shit times really. And I was just an awful parent. I wasn't awful in that. I mean, I look back, I wasn't terrible. They've ended up growing into amazing kids. So I obviously did something right, and my ex-husband and that. But I just was growly, and I had no patience, and they were just loud, and it was just I was hungover all the time. So I just didn't have that. Yeah, I just didn't have that patience for them really. Now, they've obviously seen me go through the 4 years of trying to get sober, and now I'm 3.5 years sober, and obviously my life's completely changed, their life's completely changed, and they know that I'm there for them 100% of the time, and I think that's what parents need to be. They need to be available. There was times where I got drunk, and if one of my kids had injured themselves, I wouldn't have been able to get them to the hospital,
Mm.
because I wouldn't have been able to drive, or I would have driven, and then that throws up a whole another bunch of things that we don't wish to talk about. But I couldn't parent sometimes because I was too drunk, and so that now that I haven't had that, then yeah, it's horrible to talk about because it makes me very uncomfortable and very sad that I used to put my drinking before my kids. But when you're in addiction, it's kind of, yeah, everything else takes a back seat. But
You raised a
yeah.
good point there. Like, it's kind of a great segue to the last point, I guess, that I wanted to talk about. And I kind of noticed, in relation to your question about what are some of the things that I pick up or notice, man, accountability is a big thing. Like, I
Hmm.
notice the people who don't drink, they're just way more accountable to their actions.
Yeah.
A lot of, and then maybe that's the DJing thing that we've spoken to before, but so many people will blame their behavior on the fact that they had alcohol, or they'll blame that they never got this task done because they had some beers in the weekend, or they're just kind of in complete denial that, they're, I don't know, giving heaps to their mate who doesn't want to drink and stuff. There just seems to be a lot more accountability from people that live a sober life. And even from
Yeah.
people who are still drinking, even like people who are still drinking, even, but during those moments when they're not, they just seem to be a lot more accountable to all of their actions, and that's something that's kind of that there's definitely a big attraction to me, is because I think there's probably areas in my life where I needed to be better accountable for things that I kind of either blamed on other stuff or justified through actions, and then I'm like, man, like I'm a big monkey see, monkey do person. Like I see people's what I would call success, and I just want to mimic. You know, like if we
Mhm.
look at the gym, like I start going way earlier before a lot of classes now, especially strength classes, because I notice some of the strongest dudes in the gym are there 20 minutes beforehand warming up.
Yeah,
So I just, we all know that the answers are often simple, but they're not easy, but they're
yeah,
simple. But
yeah,
like doing that, it can be hard to hold yourself accountable to those. But that's probably the big three. The big three that I see there is the productivity, the presence, and just the accountability that I
yeah, right.
see a lot of my sober living friends. They lead their lives with those. It seems to be three values that definitely resonates across.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think you're right, especially with the accountability. Like you just become so much more self-aware. And so then you think back to when you've done things, for example, driving my kids home after a few drinks or, not being able to get them to the hospital because I've been drunk. And yes, it does relate back to the drinking, but yeah, sober me would never have done all the things that I did when I was drunk. So obviously alcohol has got a massive part to play in it, but yeah, it's just still you do have to kind of
Mm.
accept that some of the things you did were pretty shady. Yeah.
I don't even really mean like alcohol aside, like even just like I notice a lot of people who lead a sober life, they are a lot we're just accountable in general. Like they're the first ones to admit, shit, I could have went a bit harder in that workout, or I should have been a bit more. I should have spent 5 minutes more on this presentation for work. Like I think honestly, and not to sound too arrogant, but I think one of my strengths as a human, one of my best gifts that I've been gifted with in life is pattern recognition. And that's why, like, I love boxing because you pick up on patterns. That's why I love DJing because you pick up on patterns. So
Yeah.
I actually, used to have a podcast myself because these conversations you pick up on patterns, and that's like one of the things. That's a pattern that I've picked up from people that lead us over life is that they're just like I'm not saying they're saints or they're perfect. Just
Mm,
when they have fucked up, they're way more willing to admit that than
yeah.
people. I don't know. It's weird. It's just something I've
Yeah.
noticed.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's cool. That's cool. What made you want to come on this podcast, knowing that all of my guests so far have been already on that sober journey? What made you decide? Because I know you mentioned you sort of, I put a call out for some guests, and you were like, "Oh, how about me?" Even though I
Yeah,
still drink, and I was like,
you
"Yeah,
know,
cool."
it was cool to connect you with another mate of mine. That was kind of how we got talking about it as well, because you were looking for guests and managed to get you two together, which is awesome. I'm excited for that. But what made me put my hand up is, yeah, I guess to like when I sink my teeth into something or when I really start focusing on something, I get a little bit obsessive. And so
Hmm.
when I've been thinking about this alcohol journey for a little while now. And like I talk with like a lot of our sober pals and even my friends who are still drinking, we have these conversations. And I just felt like it was another tire to kick or another
Yeah,
stone to turn over. It was like, let's I feel like I've gotten off really lightly here actually. I thought you were gonna be I thought this was
I
gonna
haven't
be
finished asking you questions yet.
might have to get me back for another one. You can really grill me. Or maybe we can do it because I know he'll have no shame. Um, but yeah, like what made me want to do it is really just to like kind of explore more of like why do I bother doing this thing that makes me so unproductive? It makes me a bit of an idiot. Uh, yeah, I don't know. It just offers no value. Like what
Yeah,
value? Like the value that so a lot of people that I know, the reason why they do it, or the reason why I believe I've done it in the past is that it's a reason to connect. Um, it's a shared value, and it helps you bring down your own like walls of insecurities and stuff like that, right? Like the inhibitions or whatever they call it. But
yeah,
like when I really think about it, I don't struggle to connect. when I'm sober, so I
Yeah.
don't really need it for that. I don't need it to socialize, and I run it pretty straight anyway in terms of having inhibitions. Like I'm kind though, like I do hold back some truthful thoughts. Like even when friends want critical, honest feedback, I'm probably not as rough as I can be, but like I like to think I'm pretty truthful, and I even know to premise it with things like, "Hey, are you sure you want me to give you honest? You've asked for honest feedback. Are you sure you want the realness?" So then it's kind of like when you take away those things, which are common reasons, my understanding of why people drink, then why is it even in my life? And I guess I wanted to disseminate that some more with someone
Yeah.
like yourself. And I'm hoping now the community that you have listening to you slide in my DMs, challenge me. I do not care. I'm open to all the conversations. Let's have the chat. I'm happy to be a guinea pig or a test dummy for probably ways that people want to communicate not to drink rather than just screaming at people, don't drink, you dumb idiots. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
that must
Well,
be
that's the
frustrating.
thing. Yeah,
When,
I mean, that's the thing when I thought that I'd get you on here. I mean, my job today isn't to convince you that you need to quit drinking. Like I would love for everybody to quit drinking, because whereas I used to absolutely love it and think that it was the best thing ever, now I'm like the complete opposite. And I see the dangers of it, and I see how bad it is for you, and how it just really doesn't add value to your life. It just really doesn't. But I wasn't going to come up here and get on my soapbox with you and say, now Heps, you've got to quit, like that's it. But it's just really cool just to see your thought processes behind it. And I know that you think about things a lot, and that you will be stewing on this even after this conversation today. Your heart out be just kind of having a few thoughts about it and a few discussions with people. So yeah, and that's all. I mean, my goal really is just to make sure people are coming they choose to drink by all means, but do it from an educated standpoint, and just know what it's doing to your health and relationships and everything that it can affect. Making sure that you're understanding when you reach for that beer or whatever it is, that it's coming from a point of, okay, this is doing this to me, but I'm going to do it anyway. Well, that's fine, that's your choice. So
And like,
yeah.
I want to be clear as well. Like, this isn't something that, Abby's told me to say or whatever. Like, I know as a person who still drinks, like, I know that it's like legal poison. I know it's the most ridiculous thing ever. Like, we've got friends who are policemen, and policewomen, and we know how much alcohol contributes to crimes. Like, I was actually asked on a podcast, I appeared on a podcast early on in the year, and they asked me, like if you had a magic wand and you could make one rule for everyone, what would it be? And at that time, the way I was thinking and the way I was feeling, and it just came to me then, like I probably would wave a magic wand. I don't know if I feel the same today, but I know my answer at that time was like, just get rid of alcohol and let's see how much better things would be. Like when I think of it from that crime standpoint, like there'd be a lot less of that. When I think of it, once again, coming back to my token word, productivity, there'd be so much more of that. We've talked about the presence, we've talked about the accountability. Like a world without alcohol, like I just don't see there's no losing there.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is from a guy that still drinks.
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
but I just don't, so I can't imagine like, yeah, everyone, on your side of the coin and your community, you guys must have some frustrating ordeals with people, I can imagine. But, it's super great. I think the best thing we can all do in these situations is just, lead and be the example we want to be, which you guys are all doing. So hats
Yeah.
off to you.
I
It's
don't
amazing.
think yeah. I don't think it's frustration, because there's no judgment, because I've been there. I was a daily drinker, and I was putting my drinking in, ahead of my kids as a priority, So, I've been at the bottom of the lowest of the low when it comes to drinking. But, yeah, luckily for me, I managed to have that mindset shift, and, I don't miss it at all now, which is awesome. But yeah, I certainly don't judge anybody that drinks. I just wish they didn't, from a health and safety, for their own health benefits, and what it's doing to you, and things like that. So
And just knowing you as well, like, I mean, obviously we're not super close or anything, but we've trained together for a while now, and I understand you've got a hospo background, you've done PT, so you obviously have empathy for people. And so all you
most of
want
the
is
time.
for people to be living life to their fullest potential, right?
Yeah,
and we all
exactly.
know,
Exactly.
that this shit does not contribute in any sort of way. So you're telling me you don't get frustrated, but I don't believe you, because I get frustrated, and I still drink, and I get pissed
Yeah,
off.
yeah,
You know,
yeah. Is there anything, any advice that you would give to somebody who's listening, who's in that same sort of headspace as you, of like not quite just having decided whether to quit or not, just as a last little discussion? What would you say to somebody that was in the same boat, do you think?
so, can I speak to two people? Can I speak to someone who's in a position
Absolutely.
like me? Can I also speak to the people that think I'm an absolute nutter for like not having a beer? Or even
Absolutely.
let's take that to the person who thinks you're a nutter for not drinking anymore. I want to speak to two people. So firstly, the person who's like me, who like gives it up every now and then you find yourself getting roped back in for some whatever reason. Honestly, just sit with it and have a think about what are those triggers or those things that help you or that make you, sorry, get back into less than ideal situations. Like when I think of me drinking, I don't freak out, I don't clasp up, I don't get nervous or whatever because I know nowadays, keyword nowadays, I know I don't do anything that isn't aligned with myself or that is embarrassing. I definitely have, and I've definitely been that person before, but I'm just talking about nowadays. I don't
Yeah.
cringe at it so much because I know that I've dealt with a lot of things and worked on a lot of stuff. So I'd say just spend that time reflecting. If you're the person like me, like spend your time reflecting. Like I know, for instance, with these fitness events I mentioned before, they trigger me to want to taste of beer. So I just make sure I've got like a 6 pack of zeros on me, and I just
Yeah.
drink the zero because it's the taste that I want. But I only know
Yeah.
that now because I spent the time thinking about it and disseminating about it. I didn't just go, "Oh, we'll see what happens."
Yeah.
I even meditated on it. Like I'm a big meditator, so I'm just like, okay, today we're going to think about my drinking. Let's see where this goes. And I'll give myself that 15 minutes. So to the person like me, just spend some time actually thinking about it. Don't run away from it. It's going to be confronting, but you're by yourself. Or even if you need a friend to bounce it off, just spend some time actually thinking about it rather
Yeah.
than just leaving it to chance. And to the people that think that sober people are absolute nutters, well, I think in every industry or fad, let's call it trend, the early adopters are always the crazy people at the start, but then later on they turn out to be absolute geniuses. I remember once upon a time when people thought that smoking was healthy for you, but obviously that was because of marketing and stuff like that. We all know that, like, really, and if you don't know, this might shock you, but I'll be surprised if you didn't know. We all know that really drinking only continues to exist in our society because of the tax revenue that it gets and because of the money that it generates people.
Yeah.
Because other than that, there's absolutely no benefit to drinking. And if you're saying, oh, but it helps me relax and it helps me connect with people a bit more, there's other things you can be doing that don't fuck up your sleep, that don't ruin your productivity. Like even exercising together with someone is proven to be more of a dopamine hit than drinking. Like, yeah, okay, it's easier to get sloth for like maybe 4 hours, but then you've got all that other stuff to pay back. So yeah, those are like my two key messages, I guess. To the people that are like me, just be kind to yourself and actually spend some time thinking about it. And to
Yeah.
all those people that are hating on our sober friends, like you got to really spend some time with yourself and think about why, like what's actually really bothering you. What are you
Yeah.
projecting, and what's going on? Because really think about it. There's absolutely zero benefit to it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's awesome. That's cool. All right, Heps. Well, I'll be interested to see where you're at in a year's time. Maybe we'll do a comeback episode.
To see what messages and stuff I get from people now, because I know this is going to rub a few people the wrong way, but I'm here for it.
Yeah, 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 yeah. You gotta get some of the haters, eh?
Yeah.
Try and convince them otherwise. But no, thank you so much for your time on here. I'll grab your contact details and put them in the show notes. How can people contact you if they want to give you a rack up?
So if you want to get at me, you can find me on Instagram under HepsFX, so at HEPSFX. I'm not on any other social media. Really, I do have a TikTok account, but I'm never on there. And am kind of booted off Facebook at the moment. So I've not been on it for like 4 or 5 years either. So yeah, Instagram's the easiest way to get hold of me. I've actually got a website too that I've been working on. So you can check that out. It's just hepa.nz or hepa.co.nz. You can find me on there. At the moment, I've still got all my stuff from when I ran for council 3 years ago. I'm not running for council this time, but I might do it in another 3 years' time. So we'll see.
Do a sober. I know somebody that's running for council is she's the running for mayor, and she's the only female candidate, I think, and she's decided to quit the booze so that she can run for the mayor as clear-headed as possible against all the guys. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But anyway, before we get too political, so thank you so much, Heps. It's been really cool. And yeah, for everyone that's listening, I hope you've enjoyed it. If you are sitting on the fence about quitting or not, hopefully this may or may not have given you some answers that you've been looking for. But thank you so much, and I will speak to you guys again in a week. Thanks, Heps.
See ya.